aside, and I'd have to go talk to the auditor afterwards. But now it's pretty routine. Our meetings are faster. I don't have very many questions. I know what's on the agenda, and I know if I'm going to be asked something about it. It just makes, when you know what your expectations are and you know what's going to be before you, it makes for quicker dealings, I'd say.
We had this issue in recent months with public access counselor complaints. Filing, there's about 1-2 filings a month, something like that, that we have to address. Rita has always insisted that, said that it should be handled by an attorney to do it right, but in order to not make matters worse by a board member trying to respond to a request.
Well, look, there's only a few reasons why you guys should not have public meetings. There's very few pigeonholes. And you know, if it's an executive session, have an executive session. It's just us in here. And if not, it's a public meeting and we talk about it, you know. Is there a reason that there's a lot of public access complaints, or?
Just file. I want this document, I want those documents, I want these documents. It's something all the time. And
bids, or are you guys doing a lot of projects?
Everything from letters that were read in a meeting, you know. Something.
Really, I mean, the town clerk should be able to do that.
Well, man, that's. But
I don't want to handle that. I mean, I want to see it before it goes out, but I don't need it. You don't want me spending 5 hours on it. My thoughts.
Well,
that's what you're asking me, no.
well, it's got to be a financial burden.
it is a financial burden.
And time consuming, and it takes a lot of time in here to respond to those, but they just keep coming, and apparently they will in the foreseeable future. So, but it's cost us a lot of our budget goes to extra attorney fees for filling out these mundane reports.
What is your expectation? I mean, how many hours on average do you think that you need an attorney in any given month? Do you have an idea, or?
Not counting the meeting.
Inclusive of the meeting, or inclusive of any, just any given month?
I would say the things that we've put before our previous attorney, there were several phone calls that she had to make, which would probably consist of about 30 minutes max. I would have to say they're not real long-winded conversations, I'm sure, and probably not more than a couple hours a week, maybe, on drafting documents.
Okay, so
That would be my
between 5 and 10 hours. 5 to 10 hours a month?
Yeah.
Okay. And then plus a meeting, or is that inclusive of a meeting?
Inclusive.
Okay.
Yeah.
So up to 10 hours a month, which includes the 3 to 4 hour meeting.
Yeah.
So you could pretty easily go down to probably 5 hours a month if you didn't have someone at a meeting, and that would save you a lot of money.
I think this is what I would be in favor of trying it on that basis rather than anything on a firm. And I think we can learn to do without some of the access that we've had that really wasn't that necessary.
And maybe what I'll do too, I don't know if you guys want this, but even if somebody came up quarterly, or if once Abby is licensed, she would be here for the first 15, 30 minutes of a meeting, and then she leaves. If you guys want that.
Well, that was what I was going to ask you a moment ago, and I stopped myself, is I feel like we're interviewing a firm versus Grant Swartzentruber, because if we're going to have Abby here in town, would it not be to the benefit of yourself and us to not only, utilize who's here and who's available, and in special cases where we need your expertise or your advice, rely on one of your firm teammates to reach out to you. I don't expect the fees to change, but don't you think that I mean, I guess that was kind of a form of a question. Are we interviewing you or your
That
firm?
was- I mean, it's whatever you want. I mean, if you only want to deal with me, I mean, I guess we'll just make that work. You know? If you don't, then that's fine too. If you just want legal advice, you know, if you want what you consider to be good advice, I mean, yeah, the firm can provide that. If you insist that it's me up here, then hey, that's up to you. I think you're gonna like Abby a lot more than me, personally.
She's not better looking than
A lot better
I'm
looking.
not going
She's
there.
better at basketball too.
I don't think it's softball.
No, it's honestly whatever you want. We're very flexible. I try to be flexible. You know, I don't want to spend 20 hours a month and get paid for 5, but I spend a lot of time on county stuff that I don't bill for. You know.
I think the logical thing would be to have one person to make the contact and explain a situation, or condense it on an email or something, and submit it that way, however you might want it.
It's easy to get me via email. Email's very easy. I mean, it comes to my phone. I've got it all the time.
To lay out a problem and.
Yeah. Yeah, and then if it's simple to answer, then you answer, and if not, then try to figure it out. And there's going to be a learning curve for me as well. I mean, I don't know exactly how you all operate or want to operate. And towns are can be a little bit obviously different than the county. It's just, I don't deal with a lot of utilities. But what you really want is kind of an outside counsel. When you've got a problem, you want somebody that you can turn and ask. You don't necessarily want somebody sitting here for 3 hours, which I get that. And you probably don't need someone sitting here for 3 hours, because yes, like you said, you probably ask more questions if they're here.
Everyone does.
And that makes
Utilities.
sense.
But Grant, and I know because this is what you're trying to do, you're going to spin this around on me. But the fact of the matter is, and I'm not speaking poorly of anybody that's not here, we need follow-up and we need closure. We have a lot of grand conversations and we put a lot of wonderful things out there, but we don't have closure on any of it. We're always sitting in wait. And when things continue to come up on a monthly basis, things have a tendency to kind of get swept under the rug and forgot about. And one of the key things that I'm sure you're going to take a lot of pride in doing is if you start something, you finish it. We shouldn't have to come back and ask you, what happened with that?
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of stuff that, when going back to the conversation about Abby, you know, I feel more comfortable dealing with a more senior attorney simply because they have those standards, you know, about themselves and their reputation. Whereas the young people, they're coming in and they're trying to grow that reputation, which is both good as well. But we need, whoever we hire,
You just want to get things done.
we need things finished. I mean, we're not attorneys.
No,
We're not engineers. We need help, and if we're paying a fair rate for legal counsel, I think we deserve it. And we don't want to do battle with anybody in the public. We don't want to do battle amongst ourselves. We just want to try to get these things accomplished.
Right. Why don't you start, I mean, whenever you decide on what you're going to do or who you're going to hire, once you make, you know, a list of 5, 6, whatever, 10 things that you want to get done, and we'll come up with reasonable expectation for when that can be done. I mean, I can't tell you that there aren't things that I'm tasked with completing. Not everything always gets done. There's bound to be things that, for one reason or another, my fault, client's fault, somebody's fault, you know, an act of God, whatever, and they don't get done. So it's on all parties. It's going to be on town clerk, board members, myself, my office, to make sure that we accomplish what you want to accomplish, have reasonable expectations. Yeah.
You mentioned utility.